everybody. I'm Chiru Bhavansikar, the Chief AI Officer of Arhasi, and the company that actually brings integrity to artificial intelligence. What we really do is to make AI defensible, and that's a priority for people nowadays. And there is an operational discipline around it, which we call it integrity first AI. What that really means is there is a way of transforming raw data into critical decisions. That is the role that artificial intelligence is playing. At Arhasi, we bring various technologies to the table, the most important one being TrustHouse.ai that allows organizations transform their raw data into critical decisions with confidence. There is a lack of trust in artificial intelligence. While technology companies are really focusing on a lot of models, agents, capabilities that are going at a speed of light, while businesses are really conservative and asking a question, do I trust AI enough to the degree that I can put AI in the place to manage my critical decisions? And that's what we are going to talk about today, how to bring this integrity first AI operational discipline and leverage decision trust infrastructure to make every decision that AI makes is defensible, auditable, and governable. Sometimes people ask this question. I'm not like a compliance oriented organization. I'm not driven by regulations. Does it really apply to me? The question to ask ourselves is compliance in the world of AI is about whether AI plays by my rules. That's what it means. Now, it is not just applicable to organizations that are compliance heavy or regulatory driven. It is for every organization that adopts artificial intelligence, wants to leverage it to make critical decisions, put it into mission critical workflows, is responsible for trusting the decision that is coming out of artificial intelligence. How is my data being consumed in order to make the decision? How well the decision is being made? Has there been any drift in the decisions that my AI has been making compared to the past? I don't want to be like reactive in nature where my customer or my lawyer calls me and says that your mission critical processes are messed up just because something in your AI system actually made a wrong decision. I rather want to be more proactive in nature to be able to actually establish controls around it so that I can leverage my decision trust infrastructure to control and direct and govern my AI implementations across my enterprise. That's like exactly what we are going to talk about today. What does this decision trust infrastructure means? How important it is for every organization that's adopting AI. It is not a question of do I need it. It is a question of why I need it. As a pioneer of integrity first AI operational discipline, myself, Chiru Bhavansikar, ideated the need for decision trust infrastructure almost 3 years ago. And we have been working on this with various, some of the largest organizations around the world in order to make sure this category of decision trust infrastructure and the technology around it comes alive so that it is consumable now as businesses are entering into the world of adopting AI big time. I am recognized for what I bring to the table and how we have helped organizations. I'm one of the top leading men in 2026 in the space of AI by MSN.com. I'm being recognized for like one of the most visionary AI leaders by Humans of Globe last year. I'm one of the top five rising chief AI officers of year 2025 by Digital Times Media. Saying all those things, what is this all about? It is all about creating value where the gap is. The gap today is everyone talks about AI, agentic AI, graph AI, RAGs, X, Y, and Z, but no one is talking about, do I feel comfortable and confident to put AI where I want it? And does it play by my rules? And it is not just about compliance, it's not about governance, it's not about security. When we talk about things, people automatically think about, oh, is it about cybersecurity? Is it about guardrails? That's not the case. Trust goes horizontal across all these things. It is security, it's governance, it's compliance, it's playing by my rules. It's about measuring how it is playing by my rules and be able to confidently trace back to how every decision is being made to the source. That's exactly where it stands. When I say AI trust infrastructure or decision trust infrastructure, it's about being truly confident about the AI that I am leading with as the leader for my enterprise. Can put my bets on that. Imagine a situation that you actually launch like a technology like a Waymo car, okay, or you want your customers to sit and adopt that technology sitting in that car, which is all AI powered and AI driven. Now, the car, which is AI driven, makes a decision and miscalculates and hits someone's on the road. Now, who is responsible? Now, if you are the chief AI officer or a chief digital officer, or you're the head of AI or the CIO, you want to bring AI into your organization. Now, there is a misbehavior that happens. How do you really offload that risk? Because just because you brought AI into the picture, ensured at a point of time you ticked all the boxes that it works well, doesn't mean that it continues to work well. Why should you be responsible if something goes wrong in the future? Now, saying that, how would you actually mitigate that risk? By having right measures, by having right prevention methodologies, by having right traceable and explainability around it. When you combine all these things together, that creates a trust and confidence that you can actually really put this agentic AI into production and roll out to my customers and transform my mission critical business processes. When I could do that, that's truly a discipline that I am adopting, which is called integrity first AI. So, what are we going to discuss today is the credibility gap that inherently exists in this AI space. What does really that decision trust means? A little bit deeper into that. How does this trust infrastructure stack looks like? What are the concepts and features that go behind that? What are the agentic AI and the liabilities that brings to the organization? And how do I mitigate those liabilities and turn them into assets with the help of something called as a trust stack? How do I create a path forward to what do we call as a defensible AI? It is not just about AI anymore. It is about defensible AI. Remember that word, defensible AI. And you, as a CIO or a head of AI or a chief digital officer or a chief data officer, you're going to go to your enterprise and say that, hey, I am not actually bringing AI to the table. I am bringing defensible AI to the table. You look like someone who is mitigating risks and bringing reward. That's the board level conversation you want to have and really stand out like a leader. Talk about decision trust, talk about defensible AI, talk about integrity first AI discipline. And when you actually bring this to the table, that's when you're really transforming and making an impact. Let's talk about the credibility gap that exists. The technology vendors want you to believe that all your problems are solved with the help of bringing AI to the table. What does that really mean? There are a lot of things that are thrown at you. They are throwing like automation at you. They are throwing co-pilots at you. They are talking about or throwing capabilities to build agents. What we have seen over the last 3+ years, and especially bringing hundreds of AI solutions live in mission critical systems, truly plugging AI into legacy systems, what we have realized is this: it's not just about AI alone. The credibility gap is that while the technology is moving at a lightning speed, the organizations are not adopting at the same pace. The gap that exists is what we call it as trust. Let's talk about Copilot as an example. What does Copilot means? It means that there is someone who is going to complement me. But what's happening, let's say, in the organizations when you're putting Copilot in front of them, the reliability of Copilot is outpacing the trust in Copilot. What that does means, now the old shackles and the controls are broken. The dependency on Copilot is increasing, which is exactly what the technology vendors want. That means that the risk surface has expanded. Now the Copilot turned into actually a pilot, and now you as an individual became a co-pilot. That's without necessary controls, without real trust infrastructure around it. Putting AI to pilot and you become a co-pilot is a risky proposition. Are we scaring? Are we saying that we shouldn't be doing this? No, we are not absolutely saying that. The technology is fabulous, but it's just about how do you want to do that? How do you mitigate that risk? Let's take an example of all these like latest tools, the coworks and the repetitive autonomous agentic systems that help you build fast, the vibe coding technologies, who have access to all your desktop. And it's important to understand that what those are really are transformational, but they are not like significantly transformational that you take them and put it into your like enterprise workflows. Everything that we are seeing today in terms of this co-work or like chatbots and all these things are literally like you could think of more of a new generation of end user computing, or like the emergence of what we call as desktop client server infrastructure in 1990s. Literally that what that is, the capability of AI that can bring to the table is way beyond that. So it's important to understand that are we laying the right foundations for that? So if we are actually going to fall apart with just co-pilots and then co-works, how can we actually go beyond that to truly bring my business transformation with AI? One of the challenges that exists today is the decisions coming out of AI, they remain unexplainable, they are unauditable, and legally indefensible. Imagine what that really means. If I cannot explain a specific decision made through the process of automation, and if I cannot make it auditable, if I cannot legally defensible, that's a major concern. Now, it doesn't matter what technology you're using. You could use like Claude, LangChains, X automation tool, Y automation tool. Decision infrastructure sits alongside as some process or a methodology or technology that can turn a, a layman's AI into a production ready, enterprise grade, trustable, defensible system. That's what we are looking at here. These numbers that we see, which we call it trust deficit, are alarming in nature. 73% of enterprise AI projects, they stall. They never see light beyond proof of concepts. Why is that? $4.2 million average cost of AI driven compliance event in regulated sectors. What that does mean? I'm putting myself at risk. Less than 30% of AI outputs are explainable. That means I cannot defend myself to regulators or lawsuits. 2026 is a transformational year for AI. We are not just talking anymore. We really want to move beyond POCs. But the problem is, are we ready for that without having a decision trust infrastructure? European AI Act literally enforces full traceability for any high risk AI system. Any AI system that is in a critical business process or handling a customer interaction needs to have full traceability. How do we plan to do that? It's not observability, just it's way more than that. How do we turn a simple AI process and make it accountable? That's what is addressing the trust deficit means. From our experience, having really taken several mission critical systems driven by AI into production, there are three main root causes for a broken AI trust. It's the silo tax. What that does really mean? A lot of the times, it takes a weekend to build like a simple AI app, wipe code that. But to make that truly into enterprise ready, it takes months, which people don't think about. The concern is these wipe coded apps are built without paying attention to are we going to test that? How are we going to manage that? How are we going to operate that? How are we going to make it defensible? How do we really plug those into this my disconnected infrastructure of systems? Because a decision doesn't happen on its own. A decision is dependent on data points. Data points come from systems. The systems are most likely legacy systems, and the data points are dispersed across these legacy systems. Now imagine a, a single decision has so many dependencies across systems that are disconnected in nature. How do I bring that together and say that my decision is defensible? It's quite an interesting problem to solve. And decision trust infrastructure, or alternatively, we can also call it AI trust infrastructure, is what addresses that problem. There is a lineage gap. People have been talking about data lineage. Even we could not really address like the data lineage problem in the way that we could have addressed. You walk into any enterprise today and ask how good is your data lineage? Do you have a design time data lineage or a real time data lineage? Most of the times people say that we have data lineage that's not accurate. The systems are changing faster than what my data lineage shows. If data lineage itself is not accurate, how can I think about my decision lineage? How do I trace my decision lineage back to every source system? Imagine that. That's a major problem today. Okay. The policy drift. When we talk about the policies, people really think about guardrails. Guardrails are good. Guardrails establish certain level of controls. If we think about from a security standpoint, what CISOs want to see is a three layers of defense. Guardrails are the first line of defense, and that too partly they defend what an agent or an AI system can do and cannot do. A policy goes way beyond that. It addresses all three lines of defense. And the policy is also about not just about what an AI system can do and cannot do, when the landscape with which the AI system is operating, when the data points are fluid in nature, how do you actually establish certain controls and policies dynamically that this AI system can adopt to still and stay within the rules of your enterprise? That's what a policy is. So it goes way above guardrails. Imagine a guardrail is a brake in a car. It's required. There is no question about that. You won't drive a car without brakes. A policy is like the entire um, anti crash system that the car provides. Do I need that? Yeah, absolutely. It's better because I don't want to be getting into a crash. But can I just manage with brakes alone? Yeah, you can do that. Is it adequate? Probably not. And if you're, especially if you're going to roll it across the enterprise and roll it across to your customers. So it's important to understand that a real policy, AI policy management, goes way beyond guardrails. Guardrails are just like the brakes of a car. A real policy management is a complete anti-crash system, which is in a car. So, what does AI trust or decision trust really means? It's not a feature that you can bolt on. It is like the infrastructure every AI system must adopt. If a decision is being made, the decision goes to the decision trust infrastructure before it is actually produced. Here is the working definition that Arhasi brought to the table. A decision trust is the capacity of an organization to know, show, and defend why an AI system produced a specific output to any stakeholder, your customer, or business at any point of time. Three primary features drive this decision trust infrastructure: traceable, explainable, and defensible. There are other three that we could also consider: prevent, measure, and trace. So, in order to adopt this decision provenance, there is a little bit of mind shift that is required as a chief AI officer or a CIO or a chief digital officer who is bringing AI into the enterprise. From a output thinking, it's about a thinking about provenance. Output thinking is what people think about today. I asked a question, I got the answer. What did the model produce? How cool the model is? The emphasis needs to go away from models. Models are getting commoditized. Is the answer roughly accurate? That's good enough for me. Maybe not. How fast did I get results? Speed doesn't mean control. Imagine the fastest car without brakes. Does the answer appear to make sense? Yeah, that's good enough for me. Appear to make sense doesn't mean it's factual in nature. What does provenance thinking means? It's about I see the output the model produced, but why did it produce this? Why didn't it produce differently? What specific data point drove this specific answer? Which model version was used? What would it look like if I change the model version? What policies were successfully governed during the execution of this output, and what policies missed? The answer to all the problems that we discussed so far is a trust infrastructure stack. These are composed of three non negotiable layers that every enterprise must consider before going into production. Layer one: do you have the right data integrity and quality? Imagine, right, like as soon as we bring this to the table, a lot of data vendors who have been talking for last 2 decades, they will jump up and down and say that, yeah, we have data quality. I haven't seen a single enterprise till date who could comfortably say, despite having the tools, that they are comfortable and trust their data quality completely. What does that mean? I shouldn't be doing AI? No, that's not the answer. Having solved some of the complex data problems at one of the largest FANG companies, I have realized that artificial intelligence is not only good at producing outputs, artificial intelligence can be confidently applied to improve data quality in a way that we could never have done in the past. So we can get to that quality that very fast with the help of AI. Now, layer two: explainability and traceability. This is about creating cross system data pathways, connecting into legacy systems, tracking like how the model versions are changing, how decisions are being reasoned, all the way back to the source. The layer three is about enforcement of policies, playing by the rules of the enterprise, auditable logs. When we have these three layers, then I can say that I am ready for my production deployment of AI. How do we get to this data quality? One of the good ways is to what is called as a knowledge graph grounding. Is this the only way? Nah, it's not the case. But this is one of the good ways that we can really actually get to good quality of data integrity. How do we actually implement real-time data drift detection? What does that mean? The data will schemas will drift quite often. The data itself drifts, and the models also drift. I still remember, like, I was looking at one of the hyperscalers. Literally in last 1 month, Claude versions changed twice, and the previous cloud version was deprecated. Imagine I am in production now, depending on a specific model with a specific version, and suddenly in a month I have changed twice, and I really don't know what is the impact of the change version. That's risky. What about schema and quality validation? How do we catch quickly the malformed, stale, and biased data before AI consumes it? How do we control garbage in so that we can make sure that there is no garbage out? These three are sub features that would come under this layer one of data integrating quality. And we can accomplish this with the help of AI. And we have done this at Arhasi. Layer two is explainability and decision lineage. Take the raw data, run it through the feature pipeline, apply model inference, and the decision output is produced. Simple, it looks simple. This is what everyone is doing today. And people wipe code this not knowing that it's going through this. And people say, like, I have built an application over the weekend. Now, how do I really trace that? Every decision that is produced to the specific data point that was consumed. If I cannot say that, then there is a problem here. How do I pin down to the specific model version that produced that output? How do I create and visualize how the data actually moved in producing that decision? How can I create explanations around how AI really produced the decision? These are things must consider to be considered. Layer 3 is about AI trust and compliance. Do I have the logs to go back and see like how specific AI action got performed? What decision points were used? What policies executed well? What policies failed? What alignment with regulations that do I have? Does it align with EU AI Act, SOC 2, ISO 42001? Which financial regulations came into play? Which financial regulations missed? Which manufacturing regulations came into play? Which manufacturing regulations were not effectively applied when making the decision? If you cannot answer those, I'm at risk. How do I actually go beyond the guardrails and really create like an anti-crash system, which is like a true policy management system? Are we saying that we should go and build all these things? No. If we can adopt this, that is what is called as a decision trust infrastructure. We should be focused on building AI systems that drive value. We should not be building foundations and rails around it. When AI agent acts, the question comes is who is accountable for that? And most of the times when AI agents get into enterprises, they become multi-step actions. And without trust infrastructure, every step and the action that is performed is a liability. Agentic AI, it actually really amplifies the problem with trust. What agentic AI does today, autonomously make multi-step actions, calls like APIs and leverages data without any human review, triggers workflows, it operates across multiple systems. But what happens when you bring that decision trust infrastructure or AI trust infrastructure alongside that? Now you know that every step by step action for every run. Now you have a cross system decision lineage across the models, across the agents. You have a rollback capability for erroneous decisions. You have a real time enforcement of rules that agents are going to play by. That's a true enterprise system. So, a trust control plane is mandatory for every AI deployment. What we call as a unified trust control plane. What is the path to get to the defensible AI? People are today at level one, which is like reactive in nature. First of all, there is no monitoring. And even if there is a monitoring, these are like legacy monitoring tools. They are after the fact discoveries, non compliant, no proper traceability. Elevate to the next level, level 2, which is being a little bit managed in nature. There is some kind of a logging in place, some little bit explainability. I have got some observability tools. That's pretty much. How do you get to the level 3? That's proactive in nature. Bringing integrated trust checks that run continuously alongside your core agentic AI, automated policy enforcements, unified traceability across systems. Level 4 is the defensible AI. This is the best ideal case scenario, and it's not that difficult to get there. If we can adopt the technology that delivers this, we don't need to go and build these things. We should be focusing on building AI that solves my business problems, transforms my business processes, not build these rails. How can I get full decision provenance? How can I get real time audit readiness? How can I win my board confidence and regulators' confidence? That's what we are asking. That's what defensible AI is. At Arhasi, we call it like an AI ethics and trust company. We build AI trust infrastructure, decision trust infrastructure. You can check out TrustHouse.ai, TrustStudio.ai, TrustBI.ai. What is TrustHouse.ai? It is the truly a decision trust infrastructure that runs alongside every AI system. However you build, wherever you build, whatever wipe code you do, doesn't matter. You get the level 4 defensible AI out of the box. What is TrustStudio.ai? It's about a control plane for agentic AI. How do I actually get to at least, if not level 4, I can get to level 3 in nature? What is trust bi.ai? At least level 2 in nature. Now, if we say like what Arhasi is addressing all levels here, helping you go beyond level 1 by bringing TrustHouse.ai, we are taking you straight out of the box to level 4 with by giving you defensible AI. By bringing TrustStudio.ai, we're turning your agentic AI at least into level 3, proactive in nature. By bringing TrustBI.ai, we're making your like AI level 2, at least managed in nature. So you can choose your journey, how you want to progress, where you want to fit, and we can cater to every need. Thank you for your time. Please connect with us on Arhasi.ai, or you can connect with us on TrustHouse.ai. Any questions on how to bring trust to your enterprise, especially when you are adopting AI? Think about Arhasi. Most importantly, it is not a cybersecurity play. Cybersecurity is about infrastructures and platforms. This is what we call as an intelligence, security, and governance. When we think about governance, it's not just about I'm a highly regulatory environment. I need to be adhere to some governance rules. It's about every company that's adopting AI need to be at least somewhere here. Either you need to be at L2, L3, or L4. Otherwise, it's you're not ready for production AI. That's what we are talking about. It ideally you want to be at level 4, defensible AI. Think about then TrustHouse.ai. Thank you for your time, and please connect with us at arhasi.ai or trusthouse.ai.